Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to AI Foundations. And in today's video, we are bringing you AI news. Now, I'm here with fellow YouTuber Productive Dude, and this is a new series we're starting. We're going to be going over urgent AI news of the week. We are going to be alternating channels. So this week it's on my channel. Next week it will be on his channel. Productive Dude, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself before we get started?
Yes, first and foremost, Drake and I are brothers. So we've had the privilege of being able to grow these YouTube channels over the past year a whole lot in the tech space, in the AI space. So what my goal on my channel is to basically help you build your tech stack. So if you're an entrepreneur or you're a student or you're like a huge business and you're managing lots of different people, it doesn't really matter what your situation is necessarily because I'm just kind of teaching the principles and the tools that you can use to speed up your workflows. As I said, I also cover AI. So definitely check out my channel if you'd like and subscribe for the bi-weekly AI news on my channel. As Drake said, we're going to be ping-ponging between the two channels. So without further ado, let's get into the news for today. The Senate called a tech hearing with the top tech leaders in AI, Chuck Schumer more specifically. And this had names in the room like Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, and even Sundar Pichai, who is the CEO over at Google. And this is what they call one of the most important conversations of the year, or what Chuck Schumer called one of the most important conversations of the year around AI, because it was around AI safety and regulation. Now, not a lot was said about this. Again, I said it was Sundar Pichai, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Sam Altman, OpenAI was there. So like all the big names are there. It was pretty much a bipartisan thing. Like both parties really wanted to see this thing come together, and everybody agrees that there needs to be some clarity on this stuff. But what I found when I was reading this is that not everyone agreed. So there were some people that were kind of upset that this was a private meeting and that it wasn't held to the public. I don't know how I feel about that per se, but there was a comment from Meta on what Mark Zuckerberg covered at the hearing. See if I can find it. Basically, I don't know if I can find it here, but basically Mark Zuckerberg was talking about this watermark that they're creating, or this sort of like watermarking system that they're creating over at Meta that helps to watermark AI content. So that's kind of interesting that they're trying to like watermark this stuff. Imagine
Right.
if anything you put AI on had to have a watermark on it. What do you think? How do you think that would change things?
I think that would dramatically change things, not only for people like myself or you. I mean, I've created a ton of products, papers, everything with AI, but students as well, just having that something on your
It's
content,
verifiable, right?
right? Yeah, that says it's created by AI in some way, having it differentiate from what is real, I guess, or what is not real. Um, I think it's going to be hard for uh, people to discern what is real and what's not real. Or by saying not real, I mean generated by AI, of course. But is that even going to be
That line's blurring though, right? Like what is real?
right?
Is AI considered an artistic
Real,
expression that we can just consider another one of the tools that we use as humans? Or I guess that's what they're talking about, you know?
right?
One thing I think this would be good for is situations where you're creating like say a deep fake of somebody. I
Very
think
true.
that should be required by law. Like if you're recording a deep fake of somebody and trying to like post it, just like Twitter introduced the rule of like you have to say that you have a parody account with
Mm,
to avoid getting banned for impersonating somebody. I think
right.
they should do a similar thing with like deep fakes or have some kind of repercussions for people
Yeah, there
creating.
there definitely
Yeah,
are some ethical concerns that come into play when we start using things like 11 Labs. Even their audio has gotten insane. We've both done voice cloning on 11 Labs, and it's almost indistinguishable. It's getting to a point where it's hard to distinguish what is real and what is fake. And they've been doing deep fakes now for quite a while, but now it's becoming a little bit more available to the public. So having some regulations or guidelines in place in order to help mitigate those ethical concerns would definitely be helpful. But it's hard to draw a line on what do you put watermarks on and what do you not put watermarks on. And there's obviously going to be ways to bypass these said watermarks if it does come into play here. So
Yes.
next, I kind of wanted to get into something I thought was quite interesting, the downfall of ChatGPT. Now, that might sound a little dramatic.
That sounds dramatic.
Right.
I'm
But
interested in hearing about this.
there's an article from August 18th that I have here, and also a more recent article discussing ChatGPT's traffic and revenue. So we have here ChatGPT is losing some of its hype as traffic falls for the third month in a row. August marked the third month in a row that the number of monthly visits to ChatGPT's website worldwide was down. So this is just worldwide. We're not only talking about the United States here. Actually, in the United States, we saw an increase of 0.4% in August. So we were talking about this a little bit earlier, Carter. I guess it's not declining, but it's kind of just flattening out.
Yeah. So what do you think is like causing this whole thing?
There are some theories going on about what is causing this. One of the main things I think is causing this, and it mentions this in Business Insider in this article as well, is that the summer months of any schooling is usually June, July, August, sometimes even May. So in those 4 months, students are going to be a lot less inclined to get on ChatGPT. Not everybody is AI freaks like ourselves. People aren't on ChatGPT all day. So I think ChatGPT will start to see an increase in users as soon as since school is starting to pick back up here. September's just come about, and students are starting to go back to school. As you can see down here in the article, it says one theory about why ChatGPT's web traffic dropped over the summer is that school is out, and that makes sense to me.
How do you? I guess like that makes a bit of sense to me, but how do you factor in like some of their bigger revenue streams, like their API service? I mean, I think that's really the
there has
that's the
been
gold standard for their or their flagship product. I would say is like their
right.
API. I mean, they're making it accessible to other companies. I think that's probably more of a revenue stream than students. But
that is very true. I think there is something that's been going around. I think it's called API cannibalization, and this can kind of tie into ChatGPT's revenue in a way. I'll share this other article I have here talking about the API. So as you can see right here, it says a user on social media platform X has pitched a major reason for the decline in ChatGPT's website visitors count due to the process called API cannibalization. So this is quite interesting. ChatGPT, this is an article on Global Business Outlook from August 18th. And per Analytics India magazine report, ChatGPT roughly spends, OpenAI roughly spends $700,000 per day. And this is due, a theory, maybe a major reason for this is what one Twitter user or X user called API cannibalization, where companies globally are prohibiting their employees from using the chatbot for work, but are allowing them to use the API to leverage the AI tools, LLM, and other workflows. So you're right, a lot of their revenue hit comes from that use of the API, and that's because companies are actually trying to ban this from use, but they allow the API pull. So that is a big part in ChatGPT spending, and it's definitely something to think about.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Now, do you want to dive into that article you were telling me about the ChatGPT water consumption? Because I think this is a good parlay. I have some other things I wanted to share, but I think it would be good to dive into the water consumption of ChatGPT because I think you were telling me about that story.
Right. I actually have to go find that article. I've lost it. So maybe if you want to
Yeah, I'll take over. I'm sorry
Okay.
about that. I've diverted from the script here, guys. I
It's
apologize.
okay. No,
Here we go. So this one's exciting. So I have no problem taking over here for a moment. This is groundbreaking. It's not just like how you can use ChatGPT to improve your business, this, that. This is medical grade applications for AI that are taking place, and it involves the human brain. So these were actually brain scans. This is based on brain scans that they did quite a long time ago, back in the 90s or the 80s, I believe. But they've always used these to be able to kind of look at the sinographs and be able to see like what regions of the brain are lighting up when people are hearing different things or thinking different things or seeing or talking or whatever motor function you're putting out there. It starts somewhere in the brain. So what they've been able to do with this study here is, and this was actually UC Berkeley, so this is not just some
School.
it's a legitimate study, right? What they did was they played this song to some epilepsy patients that were hooked up to these electrodes, and these electrodes were placed intracranially. So this means that they were placed like on the surface of the brain itself, not on the outside of the head, like you may have seen before with like a traditional EEG. But this allowed them to see like different regions of the brain, like actually lighting up when things like tone, rhythm, harmony, and words were detected. So this is kind of crazy to me that they're starting to learn more about the brain using AI. 29 patients, I think I said 26 earlier, but it's 29 patients they analyzed. And these patients were exposed to music while they were laying there. A song by Pink Floyd,
Another brick in the
another
wall.
brick, yeah, another brick in the wall. So if you guys want to check this out, I'll leave a link to the article. It's pretty impressive, and I just think it's pretty interesting that they've identified parts of the brain that light up when we use certain syllables or when we move our mouth or jaw, our tongue a certain way. So this may allow people to be able to speak if they have been muted for whatever reason.
Wow. So to me, Carter, it seems like it's almost like science is meeting large language models in a way, and that these nodes are connecting to brain waves. And instead of, because when text to speech or when speech to text came out, like when you can hold up your iPhone and you can talk to your text message and it types out that text message based on the words you're saying, things like Siri.
Yeah, this is a different mechanism though. So
Right.
that's the thing. That's the exciting thing about it is the brain is, if you're connecting to the brain with an electrode, that's about as low latency as you can get, meaning
Okay.
there's not any form of delay between whatever information you're trying to transmit. So right now we have like high speed internet and things like that. We use our thumbs, we type on keyboards, we speak, which is also lower latency than typing because it's quicker and more natural to us. But this takes it a step further. They're putting these electrodes inside of people's heads, not just on the surface. They're putting them in their head to test this out. And these were epilepsy patients, but imagine once Neuralink is like available to the public and in its
Elon
more
Musk's
mature stage.
right. Yeah, I mean, if you can think of your ideas, I've got so many times that when I'm editing a YouTube video or when I'm doing things that could be systemized and I know how to do them, but it just takes time. I couldn't imagine if I was thinking all these things through and actions were getting completed while I was thinking it, like make a cut there, make a cut there, you
It's
know?
instant,
Right.
instant.
That's that low latency thing you were talking about when it comes to automatic, like just connecting straight to the source. That's where the information is coming from, and it takes out the speaking step.
Yeah.
With
So the AI is if I may, the AI is finally interfacing with our brain, which is like the truest source
right,
of our intentions. Therefore, I think this is a step further in terms of the hardware that they're going to be able to use with AI. And I think that they're going to be able to reconstruct some of these sinographs and be able to actually see some patterns in different regions of the brain. So
wow,
very interesting stuff.
that is
Um,
interesting. I
and
have
and it
my
was well accredited. There were
okay.
lots of neurologists, neuroscientists, and people that work on LLMs working on this. But
Do you happen to know when the study took place at all? Was it
the
anytime recent
study, the
or
study, the study was very. They made this connection with it on August 15th.
oh
So
wow,
it was a little while back that they made the connection and like did this study. But the recordings of the sinographs from the brainwaves, that was from the 80s or the 90s or something like that. I think that they
wow.
just use it to study this sort of thing. But very interesting. I like to see that these things are starting to connect. And I even read a paper the other day that stated that they're starting to see commonalities and uh, common ground between the way that living neurons work in our brains and in animal brains, and how they work with large language models.
Through
So that wasn't
neural network.
entirely connected to this article, but
Okay.
I think it's regardless, it's something that is pretty special and breaking, and it's kind of on the edge of the news. So
Oh yeah. Well, I found my water usage article regarding ChatGPT. We're going to go briefly back on the subject of ChatGPT. This is something I found that was quite interesting. I'm going to share my screen here. Now, all of my highlights are gone. This is on the apnews.com website here. We have this article here. Artificial intelligence technology behind ChatGPT was built in Iowa. Now, OpenAI was pretty secretive when they were starting to build about their location, their efficiency when it comes to using natural resources. But then right here we say with a lot of water. Now, what does this mean exactly? Well, basically, these supercomputers, or any computer at all, when these computer parts start heating up and start running more tasks and processes, the components will actually get heated up and they need cooled down with something like water or just the natural elements like clouds and just colder air temperature.
lower temperature.
Right. But as you can see, when we go down here, this is a direct correlation to the AI revolution that we're currently in. Microsoft disclosed that its global water consumption spiked 34% from 2021 to 2022, right when the AI boom kind of started taking place, the forefront of it. And
That could all, I don't know if Microsoft is directly attached to this, but there were also, I will say, like, there was a lot going on in the cryptocurrency world at that time too, in terms of people trying to buy up GPUs. I think what this is, what Drake is trying to get across here, and what this is saying is like, this stuff is on the rise, and it's on the rise rapidly, 34% in 1 year. So it's starting to consume a lot more water. Now, is this a problem, Drake? Tell us about like maybe some of the reasons this would cause an issue, or
right.
maybe some
Well,
regions that are being affected poorly.
there are some societal reasons that this could definitely come into play negatively. Some of them being because they're actually taking this water to cool their supercomputers from drinking water as well. You know, this is water people drink from in Des Moines, Iowa. And this is a very interesting statement here. Just to put this in perspective real quick. In a paper due to be published later this year, Wren's team estimates ChatGPT gulps up 500 milliliters of water, which is close to something like this, a 16-ounce water bottle, every time you ask it a series of between 5 to 50 prompts or questions. I've personally typed in a lot more prompts or questions than 5 to 50. I probably have typed thousands, so I'm just... Every time you type 5 to 50 questions, there's a water bottle sized can basically being used worth of water in order to cool the computer from all this use. And as you were talking about, Carter, when it comes to issues, they get into that a little bit further down this article. The amounted water usage was 6% of all the water used in that district. And this is including supplies and drinking water to the city's residents. So that could this be an issue? I don't know. What do you think?
Well, here's the thing. I don't think this is. I'm under the belief that we don't necessarily have a water shortage in all parts of the world, but certain areas are in desperate need of water. There's places like Arizona that go through these droughts. So it's just it's an interesting thing to talk about, because you can start to think about things like where's the AI capital of the world going to be? We've got like a Silicon Valley in California. We've got like a Miami cryptocurrency city.
Right.
Is it going to be in Iowa?
Maybe cryptocurrency is coming to the Midwest. You know, it can't be anywhere too cold. They need some sort of, otherwise it would completely bog the systems down. I feel like they need some sort of a good balance between warmth and good temperatures in order to naturally cool down these computer systems without using too many natural resources like people's drinking water. 6% is a lot to power OpenAI.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go over a new tool that actually just came out quite recently. Came out actually today. It was released. Been hearing about this. Stable Audio by Stability.ai. And this is pretty impressive. It's able to create these sort of music samples out of a text prompt. We've seen this. This isn't necessarily a new concept. We've seen this with others. But what I like the most about this is they're offering a free version, one, and you get up to 20 seconds of recording, so you can try this out for free. It's kind of nice. And what they say here is ideal for musicians who are creating samples. So I just picture like our other brother. Our third brother, creates music, and I think this could be like a great way for him to quickly create samples and then use that to mix his creativity in. So
even if he doesn't, even if he didn't use it directly, or even if musicians didn't necessarily use it directly, it gives them inspiration for certain things that they're trying to create. Some things with music I've found, it's a lot, you can explain it in words, but it's hard to actually create it when it comes down to it. So this very well could be useful.
I think it's going to be useful. I think that musicians all around the world are going to become better for it. And a lot of the fear around AI taking jobs, that I don't really, there's two kind of like camps of fear with AI. There's like the fear that it's going to take over the world in the sense of it might detonate a bomb or it might be used for a malicious act. And there's also the fear that AI is going to take your job. The AI is going to take your job fear, I don't think is as justified. A lot of these companies are really, well, Stability AI in specific is really trying to align with all parties involved.
Right.
For instance, down here it says that the underlying model was trained using music and metadata from AudioSparks, it's a leading music library. You might be wondering, is this AudioSparks just like these poor artists that aren't getting credit? No, this is actually a company that's licensed this music, and both parties are benefiting economically from this. So I think that's cool. And I think that they're also trying to make this product so that it's not replacing musicians, it's helping musicians. So very cool. They have a new technology behind this, 44.1 kilohertz music, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
They're using this thing called latent diffusion, and the Stability AI also has stable diffusion, so image generation, text generation, but new feature or new product that they came out with, and looks exciting.
Yeah, it does. Speaking of new products, Zoom. Have you heard of Zoom's AI companion, Carter, coming out?
I've seen a bit about it. I'm
Yeah.
excited to hear more.
So Zoom has had some updates, and they're trying to incorporate AI within their systems. Now, this isn't anything we haven't seen before, but this did actually come at a good time for Zoom because they saw their first drop in revenue since 2018. Their first quarterly drop in revenue, I think it was like 103 million since 2018. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to go over a few of these new features that Zoom has. So the rebranded Zoom IQ is now called AI Companion, and it's powered along the same mix of technologies, including Meta, OpenAI, Anthropic. The biggest news is that Zoom is gaining essentially like a ChatGPT-like bot called the AI Companion. And this will give you a conversational interface that allows you to chat directly with that AI Companion during or after these Zoom recordings. And they can take actions on your behalf as well. So you'll be able to ask it questions like, maybe you're late to a Zoom meeting and you want to know what's happened. You could type into this AI Companion like, catch me up on 5 key points of what's happened during this meeting. And the AI Companion automatically will be able to read your transcript.
It's a chat bot?
Essentially, it's a ChatGPT-like bot. Now, I don't know if could you consider it a chat bot? I think so. Yes.
It's like a chat bot though. It's a chat interface.
Yeah,
so
but it allows for things like creating and filing support tickets as well. So it's more like an AI agent in a way. Like kind of do that for you. Is from what I'm getting out of this article at least. But it does have that chat interface as well, like ChatGPT or Claude 2 or anything like that.
We're seeing this a lot, right? Where you get a chat interface on top of somebody else's product. Because when you first look at this ChatGPT, for instance, the first time you open it up, you use it, it's amazing. You're like, wow, this is a beautiful technology. But then you start getting into it and you start thinking, how can I use this for myself? And so I think this is cool that other companies are starting to allow you to use like your internal data to gain an advantage with AI using that, because that's very personalized. I
Right.
think that's
And
a
is
good
this
direction.
going is this even the biggest update or anything? Probably not. I mean, things like Google Meet will adapt very quickly, I'm sure. Other virtual meeting softwares will as well. I don't think this is anything like really groundbreaking, but considering Zoom is one of the biggest virtual meeting platforms in the
Probably the
world
biggest.
currently, or the biggest, yeah, I think it was important to
I
mention.
don't know.
There
Maybe
are,
Skype.
yeah. Used
Is
to be Skype,
Microsoft Skype
right?
still
I
relevant?
I actually do think people still use Skype.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Wonder if they're going to introduce some AI features to
They
compete.
need to revive that, I'm sure. Another thing Zoom added was a revenue accelerator. So this is a sales assistant, kind of helps with training and onboarding. Very cool. It allows for a virtual coach in order to stimulate real conversations, and this will help with onboarding and sales team members when it comes to training how to actually sell your product. So this is something that I wish we had back in the day, Carter. I'm not sure about you. It seems very
Yeah, like learning sales and just being able to practice your pitch. That's
right.
amazing. And I also picture this being like a great way for people in the future to create AI agents that actually go out and have meetings with people for you.
Right.
I
Right.
don't know if that's a capability of this currently, but I could see how it could quickly evolve into like, hey, go talk to our you have a problem with your software, go talk to our
AI
virtual AI.
assistant.
Yeah.
Right. And I think, yeah, you're right now. It'll be great for training new members and onboarding and stuff. Having the AI virtual assistant be on the other line, but what happens when you can actually train this assistant to go win in sales for you and close clients and stuff? That's when it's going to completely change the game. It'll
Yeah, that's really. I think that is really probably a. I shouldn't say it's a cooler feature, but it's a more unique feature. It's something that we haven't seen yet.
right.
Whereas the chatbot or the chatbot like interface, the ChatGPT like interface that it's gained, that's something we've kind of seen across other companies where they're just using text based language models to look at a set of data, looking at
Right.
the
I
transcript of the
mean,
Zoom call in this case.
mhm.
Whereas the element of this virtual companion or whatever it's called, this actually brings in elements of video, audio, and the text-based communications. So pretty robust product from Zoom, it looks like.
Yeah, very robust, and I'm excited to see where it goes, and maybe it'll make me start using Zoom a little bit more. It kind of replaces the need for a sales team in a way. Eventually, it probably
Yes,
could. Uh, it seems like
absolutely.
that's where the trends are going. Is that the people using AI in order to create sales will start to that'll start to be the new job position, an AI sales trainer rather than a sales person, a sales meeting.
Yeah, I also saw, and we can wrap it up here. I know we're getting towards the end of our topics. I also saw that, speaking of that first article I mentioned, where they had that big meeting with all the top like tech CEOs,
Right.
one of the big things that they were talking about there was the job of like an AI trainer and the job of like an AI tester, somebody
Mm.
who goes in and they actually train these language models. They were talking about how these people are sometimes underpaid and undervalued and they just don't get great benefits. And it's just really not great work. And so, as much as I'm like a free market component or proponent, um, it's kind of sad to see that like the people that are building the language models that are running our society are underpaid. And it's also kind of concerning. I don't know the responsibilities that they have necessarily because I haven't looked that far into it, but this could be an issue in the future if the people training our models aren't the best of the best getting paid the best. I would think that
Right.
that would be
Right.
important.
Ethically as well, because these are the people feeding in the data that the models are being trained on, essentially. So,
Well, what they do, what I believe what they do is they take the responses and they fine tune them and adjust them so that the model can
oh,
learn.
gotcha.
They're like the helpers essentially that like teach the
Okay.
model. They're not the data itself I mean, I guess it's a data point in the whole equation, but
So they're fine tuners. They go in and they fine tune. They're kind of trying to mitigate some of the potential risks with the model.
yes, but they have a bias too, right?
Right.
So how can we work around that? That's something I've been thinking about as well. But
Right.
I think that's a good place to leave it. Do you have anything else you wanted to go over?
I think I'm good today, but I'm excited to see what we can discuss next week on your channel.
Absolutely.
I'm
Definitely
sure
head over there and subscribe, guys.
AI is rapidly increasing, so I'm sure that we're going to have a lot more topics to discuss. If you did enjoy this video and you enjoy content like this, be sure to subscribe to both AI Foundations and Productive Dude. Next week, we are going to be doing AI News Episode 2 on his channel, discussing urgent, up-to-date AI news. So be sure that you go subscribe and turn on your notifications so you don't miss that video. You can leave a comment on this video letting us know your feedback and what you think.